Hello, and thank you for joining me today on The Political Conversationalist. My name is Ben Phipps, and today we're doing another brief update video of 3 big news stories that happened this week, and pretty big impactful stories that I think we'll see the reverberations of over the next few weeks. So let's go ahead and get started with those. The first one is that Nike, shoe company, clothing company, athletic company, has decided to use former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick as their main spokesman. The ad campaign they're running is a picture of him with the words, even if you have to sacrifice everything, believe in something along those lines. Something cheesy and corny that you'd read off one of those hang in there cat posters. And people are not happy about this. Lots of people are boycotting Nike. The stock of Nike has dropped substantially. There are people who are burning Nike products, which if you've already paid for the Nike products, you're not hurting them by burning them, regardless of that. But I do want to point out that this is not a race issue. Online, on social media, I keep seeing that, well, white people are mad because Kaepernick's black and Nike has chosen a black spokesman. No. There have been black Nike spokesmen before, and there will likely be black Nike spokesmen afterwards. The problem here is that Colin Kaepernick is the quarterback who started the kneeling for the national anthem because he believes America to be oppressive to black people. That's his explanation for it, but the way a lot of other people see it is that he is disrespecting the national anthem, disrespecting the flag, and disrespecting the country. So more patriotic people are no longer fans of Nike because by choosing him as a spokesman, they're kind of taking a political stance. And I understand that. But Nike has the right to pick any spokesman they want, but you have the right to buy Adidas. So they're going to have to learn to live with that consequence, and they'll probably stand firm on that, and they'll bounce back. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. But more so in this day and age than ever before, private companies and corporations are taking political stances, and that's to me, that's a scary thing. Secondly, the confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh have been extremely tense. Brett Kavanaugh, we talked about a few weeks ago. He's Trump's pick for the Supreme Court justice to replace Anthony Kennedy. And Kavanaugh is he has very great accreditation, and he is, extremely conservative, very constitutional, and there are lots of people who don't like that. The left is being seen, the Democrat side, by a lot of people as personally attacking him and trying to play like a gotcha game and just trying to find any little reason they can say no. And on the other side of things, people are viewing the Republicans as having already decided, no matter what comes to light or what is said during these hearings, that most Republicans are already happy with Kavanaugh and going to appoint him to the Supreme Court. It's also been tense with the people watching the hearings. 73 protesters were arrested during the hearings for unlawful protest and disturbing the peace type charges, but because they were drowning out the actual hearings by screaming things like "answer the question" and that Brett Kavanaugh is going to take away women's rights. Brett Kavanaugh is a very conservative man, and people fear that having him on the Supreme Court will shift the balance to a more conservative court. And for some reason, a lot of people have it in their head that the first order of business when Kavanaugh gets in the Supreme Court is going to be overturn Roe v. Wade and make abortion illegal. Despite the impossibility of that, and despite the impossibility of how quick they seem it would happen, that's been running the rounds a lot, especially online, is that he would take away abortion. And I doubt that would happen. I doubt that would even get revisited, but they're still mad about it. So interesting to see what's going to happen. More than likely he will be confirmed, as there are a majority of Republicans in the Senate, but it's still kind of a horror show to watch. All right. Jack Dorsey of Twitter and Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook were grilled by a congressional hearing on multiple issues. Now, the actual main purpose I couldn't find anywhere. Like, the main purpose of the hearing Why did you choose to interview these people at these times? A member of Google was also invited, but apparently they wanted to send a lower ranking official, and Congress was not happy with that. They wanted someone closer to the top, and they refused just to let the lower ranking official be there. But anyway, the express purpose of the congressional hearing was not really stated anywhere that I could find. But from questions, we can determine that two things were the main issues. Firstly, the Republicans in the congressional hearing want to know if claims of anti-conservative bias on social media platforms are true. And secondly, the Democrats, mainly focused on this, wanted to know why Twitter and Facebook have done nothing to curtail fake news or false information or Russian profiles, or what's going on with that situation. There was a lot of back and forth, but the question remains, can Congress even tell Twitter and Facebook what to do, or can they just get really mad and talk to them? The Communications Decency Act of 1996 prevents media companies from liability of whatever users' content there is. So we seem to be in an age where free speech on the internet is both a blessing and a curse. I would like to point out one thing about this. In my mind, social media works in a lot the same way as your cell phone does. You can call people, you can text people. Although it reaches a great number more people and it can do so a lot faster, I could call as many people as would see one of my Facebook posts and tell them personally about it. Now, I could call someone and harass them or threaten them or extort them or whatever I use my phone to do that's illegal, and that's my fault. No one would go to Verizon and say, well, you should have known. You should have done something to stop this. On the same hand, though, when someone posts something offensive or racist or fake news to Facebook or Twitter, the platforms themselves are supposed to police that and stop that. That's not a good idea. Free speech on the internet is what's keeping free speech alive, in my opinion. It's the new freedom of the press, whereas back in the day we just had to believe whatever was in the newspaper. Now we can check everyone's sources. Now we can check everything. And there are people, I'll admit, who do get their news from Facebook and who do get their news from Twitter. And those are not the most smart people. You always want to check your sources when you get something from social media, because it's just like a phone call or just like a private conversation you could have from someone. Anyone can say anything. But in my opinion, the Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all those social media companies shouldn't be held liable if there is offensive content on their platforms unless they are the ones who created the content. That's just an opinion. Also, I didn't write this one down, but this was interesting. Alex Jones, a conspiracy theorist who was kicked off of YouTube and kicked off of Facebook, and I believe he still remains up on Twitter. I'm not 100% sure. He sees this as censorship, although censorship is technically coming from the government, so since it's coming from these private companies, it's not. He got into an altercation with Senator Marco Rubio in the hallway. Marco Rubio, if you remember, ran for president when Donald Trump was elected. Marco Rubio was my candidate of choice, actually. Sadly enough, he did not win the nomination, but regardless of that, apparently there were some words said, and Marco Rubio said, "I don't know who you are." Alex Jones touched him, patted him on the shoulder, and he said, "Don't touch me, I don't know you," kind of altercation. And Alex Jones kind of baited him with the question, "Am I going to get arrested for patting you on the shoulder?" And Marco Rubio retorted with, "No, you're not going to get arrested, man. I'll take care of you myself." Which, to me, that's just a great back and forth there. I couldn't have scripted that any better. But anyway, I hope you learned a little something. I appreciate your watching today. If you have any questions about these news stories, let me know down in the comments below. You can always go to my Facebook page and email me from there. Thanks for watching.